Murali Pillai.
Sir, over the years, great strides have been taken by the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Home Team, and the Ministry of Law in improving the framework for dealing with offenders with mental conditions. I've said before in this House that the 2010 CPC amendments introducing community-based sentencing for these offenders is a milestone. Through these amendments, mentally challenged offenders may be imposed a mandatory treatment order in lieu of the usual sentences such as an imprisonment. This enables us to directly address the root cause of their offending behavior. We just saw the introduction of the Criminal Justice Reform Bill, where it is proposed to expand the spectrum of offences for which a community sentence may be imposed. I'm particularly happy to note that the government has kept an open mind on a point I raised in my parliamentary question in May 2017, and now intends to allow community sentencing to be imposed on offences punishable by specified minimum sentences. Inpatient treatment will also be recognized as part of mandatory treatment order regime if the bill is passed. These are laudable steps in the right directions and deserve our support. This evidences indeed what our government has always been saying about building a just and inclusive society. It would have been easier just to segregate the mentally challenged offenders and put them away. Instead, a lot more effort and resources are being put in to rehabilitate them and bring them back to society. One area which I would like to suggest that MHA consider further strengthening is the framework involving the administration of a conditional warning in lieu of prosecution for mentally challenged offenders, especially youthful offenders. As members would note, the community-based sentencing regime would not apply to these offenders as they have not been charged in court yet. The warning in lieu of prosecution route may be employed for offenders with mental issues who have committed offences not assessed to be on the serious end of the spectrum. Hence, they are not charged in court. For first-time offenders, they may be given an outright warning in lieu of prosecution if they are first offenders. If for repeat offenders, in light of their mental conditions, it is not unusual for them to be imposed conditional warnings, meaning so long as they do not re-offend for a specified period of time, they would not be prosecuted for the offense. I respectfully suggest there's an opportunity here to introduce a system that would allow them to subscribe to a treatment and rehabilitation regime akin to an MTO so that the chances of them re-offending is kept low. As each case is different, there could be flexibility in devising a bespoke system for each offender based on his or her background and the specifics of the case. Let me provide an example. I'm currently dealing with one case in Bukit Batok where an offender is a 15-year-old boy who has autism and ADHD. He comes from a broken family. He decided not to attend school and instead frequents the gaming arcades to feed his gaming addiction. He was previously given a stern warning for the offense of possessing an offensive weapon. A few months later, he committed another offense of trespass into a school. Without intervention, the chances of him re-offending and being charged in court is high. There are at least 6 stakeholders dealing with this case: his parents, police, his school teachers, social worker from a family service center, psychiatrists and psychologists, and the social service office. Instead of issuing the traditional conditional warning, telling the boy not to re-offend, failing which he would be charged in court for the offense of trespass, it may be useful to work in further conditions and require him to subscribe to a regime with the support of his parents so that we can provide him with the best chance for rehabilitation. This will require the police to be assisted by professionals who will have to recommend the appropriate treatment for the boy. The framework may require the boy to report frequently to the police so that his activities can be checked. It may require the boy to go to school regularly. It may require him not to frequent gaming arcades. It may require him to take medication in accordance with what is prescribed. It may also require the parents to furnish a bond if it's assessed that the parents are not likely to provide sufficient support for the program. Such a regime, in my respectful opinion, will provide him with the best chance of not re-offending. This would mean that the police has to be given resources or access to resources within the community. There's also a need to coordinate with different stakeholders. There may be a need to identify a proper liaison body, such as the social service office. Otherwise, it would not work. This is not easy to implement, but it's important, not just for the sake of the mentally challenged offender, but his family and the community.